Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing a double page layout, two 12 by 12s, and this is from the Blue Skies collection by Close to My Heart. This is a workshop that features 5 different double page layouts. I already completed one, which I'll go ahead and link in my description box, and this will be the second one that I'm completing today. So I'm going to use the stamp set that comes with this collection. Of course, you purchase it separately, but it is part of this collection. And it is a stamp and thin cut set. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp off the images we need for this layout, which would be 2 clouds and a banner. Now, all of the colors that I use for the ink pads, I'll add it to my description box. And we are doing second generation stamping. Now that simply means you stamp off the first image there and then use the second print as your image on the layout. And you can see I just did that there with the second and the first cloud. Now the banner, that's such a cute banner. We're not going to second generation stamp that. We're just going to use the very first image there for our background. I'm just testing it out because it is a brand new stamp. Next up, I'm going to use the thin cuts and die cut those out. Now, if you go ahead and place an order with me on my website, I will be happy to send this workshop instructions over to you. Just go ahead and email me if you'd like it, or you can also message me on Facebook. And like I said, they include a total of 5 double page spreads. So here I'm just removing about 1 inch of 2 sides of my white daisy cardstock, and then I'll go ahead and mat this white daisy cardstock on my green cardstock that you see in the background. Before I do that, I will ink the edges, and actually there I think I removed about 1/2 inch and then 1 inch, because you can see on the layout it's joined in the center, so we only need about 1/2 inch all the way around the entire double page spread. If you look to the left of the screen, you can see what the layout would look like. So I did consider inking the edge with that green ink pad, but you can see I decided to go with the sapphire instead, and I absolutely love how that looked. And with this grid design, I already cut up all of my little squares that I'll need for my background, and I am going to ink all of those edges as well. Now, if you would like the exact measurements for those little squares, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to share that with you. Now, for these squares, I did use pattern paper from the paper pack. And I also used some blue sapphire cardstock. And the sapphire cardstocks are the ones that I am going to add my 2x2 photos to. So I do not, of course, add any ink to those edges. Since it's blue ink, you will not really see it on the blue cardstock. So here we have this beautiful cardstock that is part of the Blue Skies collection, and I did not want to waste any part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the part that you will not see once I add my white daisy to this background. And I'm going to do the same procedure for both sides of this layout. So now I'm going to go ahead and put it all together, and to make it a little easier, I did use some washi tape to hold both sides of this layout together. And once I'm complete, I'll just remove the washi and split it into 2 parts, of course. But this just makes it a lot easier lining up my white daisy cardstock and also all of those little squares on my background once it's time to add those in. So here I'm going to go ahead and adhere my white daisy. Then I'm going to be taking a strip of blue pattern paper and adding it as a border to the bottom of both sides of the layout. And next up, I'm gonna begin adding on my photos. Now, I did not have my photos printed, so I will use some photo placeholders until I get them printed, and I am adding it on some blue sapphire cardstock. Now, our cardstock has a darker side and a lighter side, and I decided to use the darker side of the blue sapphire cardstock. And the one that I'm adding it onto right now is actually the lightest side, and you'll see later on I do pull this apart and just switch it so the darker side shows on the edges. Here I have all of my little photo holders. Those are going to be 2x2 photos I add onto those cardstock as well. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere all of those to the background. But first of all, like I said, I will rip that apart and just flip it over, making sure the dark edge shows instead of the lighter side. So here I am following the design exactly as it is, and I'm going to add those photos in where they should be along with my pattern paper, those squares that I cut out previously and inked. I'm going to use my T-square ruler just to make sure they're all nice and straight, but having these two pages joined together with the washi definitely helps a lot, keeping everything nice and even. So I'm just going to continue right now adding in my squares and also my photos on both sides of the layout. So like I mentioned before, I am following along really closely with the original design of this layout, but I did add a few personal touches of my own, such as the ink edge on that white daisy cardstock. That was not on the design that I'm following right now. And for my title, I also used a different title than what they have on the directions. And I added in this different title based on the photos that I will be adding later on. So you can see here, I hung my title off the white cardstock just a tiny bit, and I felt like that pulled in that green cardstock. So it's now like part of my layout and not just behind my layout. My layout is not sitting on top of it, it's all together. I felt like that pulled it all together. I'm going to continue adding in these stickers, and some of these I add some foam adhesive behind them, and that adds just a little bit of dimension to this layout. So all that I'm using to complete this layout and my previous layout would be the paper pack and sticker sheet from the collection. And if you have not seen my unboxing for this collection, go ahead and check out the link, which I'll leave down below. And don't forget, like I mentioned before, this is only officially available until the end of May 2020. If it's past that date, you can still go ahead and check. If it's available, it will be until supplies last. So here I'm going to add this word phrase into the top of that photo, and you can see that photo is actually a 5x7 photo they're using on this layout, but if you wanted, you can definitely split that into two parts and use a 4x6 only, or you can use two 3x5s. It will definitely fit in that space and still look really awesome. So there I added in one of those clouds that I printed off, that I stamped off before and cut out with my thin cuts. And I'm going to add in some more elements right here to this cluster. Now I will pull in some sequins that is not on the original design, but I wanted to add a little sparkle, a little bit more interest to the layout. So I have some sequins. They're named Crafty. They are from the Close to My Heart website. And in that mix, you get several different colors and different shapes. There's even some floral sequins in there. And all of the colors go really, really well with the colors in this collection. So once I have them added where I'd like them to be, I will use my liquid glass and adhere them all. But first, you can see I am adding in 2 borders here all around my layout. At first I added in 1, and then I decided I needed a second one. And this would be where I pulled in those sequins. And I just love the detail that this added to my layout. Now for non-porous elements such as these sequins or acrylic pieces, I love using the liquid glass, though that really keeps it in place. And I also use my art glitter glue for other items where I need some liquid adhesive. So here I am going to pull in some floral pieces from my stash. I got these, I believe, at Joann quite a while ago. So I'm going to add some of the yellow flowers and the teal ones to the layout. I think those blend really well with the colors in this collection. Next up, I am going to add some splatters as well. And to do that, I'm using the Sapphire Shimmer Brush from Close to My Heart. So you can see here, I'm just squeezing out a tiny bit of that ink onto some plastic packaging. And I'm going to add some of those splatters to each of my clusters. So although I followed the design really closely, I added in some personal touches which made it my own. So do not be afraid to add your own elements to these pre-designed layouts. So I will give you guys a close-up look at my completed layout right now, and I hope you guys enjoyed the process. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up before you leave, and I will have some still shots as well. So I want to thank you all for watching today. Until my next video, bye.